Hello, this is Mrs. Dutton, and today I have a story of hope to share with you. This book is titled The 30,000 Stitches, an inspiring story of the National 9/11 flag. It is written by Amanda Davis. It is illustrated by Sally Warren Comport. 30,000 Stitches. It's a Remembering 9/11 2001 20 years book. On September 11, 2001, New York City was attacked. Two planes were flown into the World Trade Center. The Twin Towers collapsed, and thousands of people lost their lives. It was a tragic day in America's history. Days later, high above the wreckage of the buildings, construction workers hung an American flag, 30 feet wide, 20 feet tall, blowing in the New York City wind at 90 West Street. The fabric of America remained. As the weeks passed, red, white, and blue turned to gray, torn, tattered, tired, hanging by a thread, until one day it hung no longer. The flag was taken down and carefully stored away. The fabric of America waited. 6 years later, in a town far away, disaster struck. A massive tornado destroyed the small town of Greensburg, Kansas. A group of volunteers from New York City and the surrounding areas offered to visit Greensburg and help the town rebuild. Before the visit, residents of Greensburg asked volunteers to bring a memento from the World Trade Center to include in a memorial park they planned to build. The time had come. Aged but not forgotten, the flag was brought out of storage, ragged and torn, faded and gray. The fabric of America emerged. Once the flag arrived in Greensburg, a different plan unfolded. A group of citizens spotted the flag. Its dusty remnants glimmered with hope. They saw its strength and went to work. They repaired the flag from the World Trade Center with fragments of their own flags, tattered from the storm. Hand by hand, thread by thread, one stitch at a time, the flag was reborn. The fabric of America is strong. With the patchwork complete, a grand idea was born. The flag would travel to each state to be fully restored, back to 13 stripes, back to 50 stars. The fabric of America heals. And so the historic journey began. The flag traveled near and far, from ballparks to beaches, from California to Maine. The flag touched many hearts and many hands. The hands of firefighters and soldiers, of teachers and students, the hands of mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters, the hands of many different people, people like you and like me. The flag lie within the heart of the nation's defense. It flew high in remembrance of a life filled with love. At each location, a new piece of fabric was added, a new stitch, a new story. In Hawaii, aboard the USS Missouri, stories of heroism were told as World War II veterans placed stitches. In Georgia, at the King Center, stories of activism and the struggle for equality were shared as the family of Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King placed stitches. In Florida, at Kennedy Space Center, stories of exploration and discovery were heard as members of America's space program placed stitches. And in New Mexico, near Navajo Nation, stories of survival and secret battle codes were shared as members of the Navajo Code Talkers placed stitches. The fabric of America unites. The flag wove its way across America, crisscrossing borders, cross-stitching lives. At long last, on September 11th, 2011, 10 years after the Twin Towers collapsed, the flag made its last stop. In Joplin, Missouri, the hands of 1,067 tornado survivors placed stitches. Throughout the journey, stories of tragedy transformed into triumph, repairing scars, restoring faith, uniting people. 50 states, thousands of hands, and 30,000 stitches later, the flag returned home to New York City, 30 feet wide, 20 feet tall, full of hope, full of strength. The fabric of America endures. I'm going to share with you a few facts that are written in the back of the book. More about the flag. On September 11th, 2001, America was attacked. 4 planes were hijacked by terrorists and flown into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, the Pentagon near Washington, D.C., and a field in Pennsylvania. Altogether, nearly 3,000 people lost their lives. The strike in New York City caused the collapse of the Twin Towers, and the destruction left behind became known as Ground Zero. High above Ground Zero, construction workers placed a 30-foot American flag on the scaffolding at 90 West Street, a landmark building 1 block south of the South Tower. The flag comes down. Weeks later, Ground Zero construction superintendent Charlie Vickers saw the flag was becoming badly damaged and told his crew to take it down. The plan was to officially retire the flag. Instead, it lay in Vickers' shed, untouched for 7 years. During this time, Vickers began volunteering for the New York Says Thank You Foundation. Each year, on the anniversary of 9/11, volunteers from the foundation travel across the country to help communities affected by disasters. In 2008, as the 7th anniversary of 9/11 approached, members of the foundation prepared to head to Greensburg, Kansas, to help with cleanup from the massive tornado that had destroyed 95% of the town the previous year. Charlie decided to take the flag with him, where it would be officially retired with flags damaged in the tornado. It would be burned, and its ashes would be buried in the memorial park being planned in Greensburg. When Charlie arrived in Greensburg, residents at a local senior center saw the flag's condition and began patching it back together with remnants of tattered flags from the tornado. It was the beginning of a journey to restore hope and healing to the flag and to the nation. A trip across 50 states. Accompanied by Carolyn and Denny Dieters, the flag tour staff, and volunteer honor guard, the flag traveled to all 50 states, where it was restored to its original form by stitching the fabric from retired American flags throughout the country. The flag was stitched by many people, including the family of Coretta Scott King and Martin Luther King Jr., survivors of the Fort Hood shooting, World War II veterans aboard the USS Missouri, members of Congress, educators, first responders, and thousands of everyday service heroes. On September 11th, 2011, the flag completed its journey and the final stitches were placed by 1,067 tornado survivors in Joplin, Missouri. Boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this story. Although 9/11 was a tragedy and something that we should always remember, all of the devastation and death that occurred, 30,000 stitches is a sign of hope, a story of triumph, of America coming together. I hope that you always look at this story that way. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.